Hey boys and girls, it's Miss Trammell back again for Tuesday, April the 27th version of Number Corner, which will include a problem string. So let's jump right in. You may see that today's calendar marker is not a regular shape, but we can figure it out by counting the sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides means we have a pentagon. And this month we've been talking a lot about finding the perimeter. So when you see these questions on your map test or end of the year testing, I sure hope you know exactly what to do. When we find the perimeter, we add up all the sides. So I'm going to put numbers together that would make it really easy to add. And I'm going to say 7 plus 3, because that's 10, plus 5 plus 6, 5 plus 6 is 11, plus 8. Would be, we have 10 plus 19, which would be 29, and it's still following our rule of adding 3 and then subtracting 1 for our total number of centimeters for our perimeter. Today is also the 14th day of us collecting a decimeter, so I'm adding my 14th decimeter here, well, I'm trying to, and that means now I have 14 tenths. 14 tenths, because each decimeter is worth 1/10 of a meter. 14 tenths is the same thing as saying 1 and 4 tenths. Okay? And that means we know it's 14 decimeters, and in order to convert decimeters to centimeters, we have been multiplying by 10. So it would be 14 times 10, which would be 140 centimeters. And now for our main focus of the day, which is our problem string. Today we're going to think about some strategies for multiplying and for dividing. And I would like to call it the over strategy, where when you're given a problem, you may multiply a larger number and then subtract to figure out the answer to the problem you were originally given. Let me show you the first one, and maybe what I'm saying to you will make more sense. So here we go. Problem number 1, 12 times 10. 12 times 10 is so easy. We can do 12 times 10 because we know our times 10 tables, right? So this may not be proportionate. Maybe I should make it proportional. Let's see. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Maybe that's 12. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. And then I need 10. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So here's my 12 by 10. And I can label it. Obviously, the longer side is 12, and the shorter side is 10. And what is 12 times 10, guys? Good. 120. 12 times 10 is indeed 120. So that's easy. But here is where the over strategy comes into play. What if I really wanted to find 12 times 9? Well, I could think of 12 times 10 because I already know 12 times 10. And that means I have, let's see, 10 groups of 12. So now if I'm doing 12 times 9, I only need 9 groups of 12. So I can subtract one of those groups of 12, which would make it look like this. And I'm going to change my colors here so you can see what's happening. Instead of having 10 times 12, I now have 9 times 12. So here's my 9. And I still have 12 going this way. And I could say that this is 1, but I'm not considering that right now. But I know that 1 times 12 is 12. So in order to figure out 9 times 12, I need to do this. I'm trying to do 12 times 9, but essentially I'm thinking of 12 times 10, and then I'm subtracting 12 times 1, which is one group of 12. And you can see that looks like this. I'm going to start another row here. That means I have 120 minus 12, which is going to give me 108. So what then is 12 times 9? I hope you said it. 108. And I will fill that in right here. So that's the over strategy. When you are multiplying by 9, you can think about multiplying by 10 and then subtract one group away. Now let's see how we can apply that with division. Now I have 120 divided by 12. We've kind of already solved that because we know 10 times 12 is 120, so 120 divided into 12 groups would give me 10 groups. So what if then I wanted, let me write that here, it's 10, and our picture already represents that. So what if then I needed 108 divided by 12? Yikes. 108 divided by 12. And hopefully you guys see the connection, but my point here is this. You can think, when you're dividing, you can think about multiplication, and you should because they're inverse operations. But since our number here, really close to 120, and we know that 120 divided by 12 is 10, then we can quickly determine 108 divided by 12, because look where our 108 is. It's here. And I'm going to change my color. Since I separated it, I have 108 plus 12 gives me a whole area of 120. So if I have 108 and I'm dividing by 12, what number am I getting? I'm getting 9. Are you following me? Let's do another one. Let's look at 135 divided by 15. But we are connecting multiplication and division together today. So here's what I am going to do. And I want you to kind of follow along with me here. I am going to do 15 times 10 because I know my tens times tables, right? I can easily figure it out. So I'm going to go ahead and make my area model to represent 10 times 15. Okay, so here is my array for 10 times 15, which is 150. And you may be thinking to yourself, why in the world is Ms. Trammell drawing 15 times 10? Because our problem doesn't have 150 in there, it's 135. However, we know, or we should know, our 10 times tables, and so when we see a division problem, we can connect it to multiplication and then subtract out some groups to give us the number that we need. So in this case, I only want 135. And we know there are 15 going this way. So if I were to essentially do this, which is take out a row, kind of like I did for the other problems, and I know that this row is worth 15 of the 150, which makes this section worth how many? 150 minus 15. 135. Oh my gosh, I found my answer, and I did that quickly using a area model. So here's my 9, and then I had one more to make the whole thing with 10. So 10 is a really friendly number, not just in addition and subtraction, but also in multiplication and in division. So that means what? 135 divided by 15 is, you got it, it's 9. How do we figure it out? I'm going to write out our equation. Instead of doing 15 times 9, because again, we're thinking about division as multiplication, I am thinking about 15 times 10, but then I am subtracting one group of 15. Do you see that? Looks just like what we did a second ago, right? So, connecting it to multiplication. So 15 times 10 is 150, and 15 times 1 is 15, which is going to give me 135. Right, so that means 15 times 9 is 135. Good? Okay, let's do the next one. 140 divided by 14. This time, we are going to use a ratio table to help us think through this problem. But again, we're going to think about multiplication instead of division in order to solve this problem. All right, so 140 divided by 14. We're going to think about it as multiplication. So this time, we're going to turn it around to be 14 times 10, okay? So on my ratio table, it may look something like this. If I have 10, and in each of those packs, there are 14, then that gives me 140. We clear? So our relationship between these two numbers means I am multiplying by 14. Are we good? All right. That means 140 divided by 14 is easily 10. Well, how then would we figure out 126 divided by 14? Well, in order to get 126, I need to subtract a group. I am subtracting one group of 14, which means I'm going to subtract 14 from the total. Maybe if we need to put it in context, you can think about packs of pencils or packs of pens or packs of crayons in a box. Whatever you want to think about to help you understand. If I had 10 boxes, I have 140 items. And because in each box there are 14 things. But I'm taking a whole box away, taking one box away, which means I'm taking 14 items away. And look what that gives me. 140 minus 10 is 130. Minus 4 is 126. We found the answer, and we didn't even really do any division. We were thinking solely multiplication. And I could even write it out just like I've done the other ones. I did 14 times 10 minus 14 times 1, which is 14 times 9, and that's 126. Okay, let's solve one more in relationship to this problem. 154. So this whole time we've been finding the answer. We were doing the over strategy. That means we were going ahead of the number that we actually needed. Or I should say, yeah. So now we're thinking about it a little differently. This time we need 154, which is more than what we had originally thought. However, we know that in each package there are 14 items. And hopefully you recognize that 140, this time I'm going to add 14 instead of taking 14 away. That would give me 154. Well, how many boxes am I adding if I'm adding 14? I'm just adding one box. And 10 plus 1 is 11. So 154 divided by 14 is indeed 11. So there's one more problem for this problem string, and I want you guys to try it out. And that problem is this. 144 divided by 16. So you may think about it as multiplication. 16 times something gives me 144. But we don't know what that something is. So we're just going to start at 10 because 10 has been our friendly number today. And we're going to say 16 times 10, which we know is 160. And hopefully you can use that to figure out 144 divided by 16. So I'm going to give you a moment. You may want to pause this video so that you can work it out, and then we'll talk about it together at the end. All right, guys, I hope you worked it out. I'm going to work it out, and I'm using a different color because we're doing a different problem to show you what I'm hoping you chose to do. So whether you drew it out in an area model, that's fine. I'm going to use a ratio table just because I want you to know that you can do it that way as well. Our problem was 144 divided by 16. So I'm going to think about 10. I know that 10 times 16 is 160. Okay, but I want 144. Okay, so I'm going to write our problem up here just so that Ms. Trammell does not forget what she is solving for. Okay, I want 144, so this number is over the amount that I need. I need 144. In order to get 144, I'm actually subtracting 16. And in this problem, each of our groups has 16 in it. So imagine if I were to draw that out, just like you saw here. If I had 16 going this way, they have 16 in it. And so if I take away one whole group of 16, then I'm getting 144, which means instead of having 9 groups, I have 10 groups. So your answer to 144 divided by 16, you should have gotten 9. Okay? Here's another way to think about it. We did 144 divided by 16, but really we thought about it as 160 divided by 16 because we know our times 10. That's our easy number to work with. And then we subtracted one group of 16, which is 16 divided by 16. You get 1. If I have 16 things and I want to put 16 things in a group, I'm only going to have one group. Okay? So that's what we did, and I'm writing it out a little bit differently than what you've seen earlier, but I want you to see the connection. Okay? So that means I then had 144 divided by 16 equals the same thing as 10 minus 1. Okay? Because 160 divided by 16 is 10, and then 16 divided by 16 is 1. So we have 10 minus 1, which gives us a quotient, which is an answer of 9. So, just to sum up, today we've been working with the over strategy for division. We thought about division as multiplication. So, I want you to think about, in your words, how you might summarize this strategy and how it may be helpful for you so that when you see a division problem, you may be able to use this strategy to solve it as well. I hope that you guys learned something today and have a good rest of your day. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.